After the Passport and Pilot, Honda is introducing their off-road moniker, Trailsport, to the Ridgeline. So in what ways does this Ridgeline Trailsport differ from the standard Ridgeline models? Let's go for a drive and find out. So with this Trailsport version of the Honda Ridgeline, you get knobbly all-terrain tires, slightly retuned suspension, and a skid plate to protect the engine. And that's it. Those are all of the off-road upgrades that you get. Yes, there is also a slightly different front grille and a bunch of orange stitching throughout the interior, but otherwise for off-road performance, this really isn't the type of pickup truck. It has the same ride height as a standard Ridgeline, same departure and approach angles. It doesn't have a locking differential that the driver can choose to unlock or lock, and it has the exact same drive modes as well: normal, snow, mud, and sand. This truck was designed to handle really light off-roading, so like a gravel road or where I filmed, a sandy beach, and that's about it. So as an off-road pickup truck, there are definitely better options out there. But what about as an on-road pickup truck? Well, this is one of the last few remaining trucks that has a V6 engine. It's naturally aspirated and it displaces 3.5 liters. It produces 280 horsepower and 262 pound-feet of torque. It doesn't really feel all that peppy at lower RPMs, but once you get it past 3,000, that's when it starts to get a bit more entertaining. And it also makes some really good noises up in the higher RPMs as well. Fuel economy wise, this engine is a little thirsty when you're driving in a city, but on highways, it's actually pretty good. It's rated for 12.8 liters per 100 kilometers in a city and 10.2 liters per 100 kilometers on a highway. I've been averaging about 11.1 liters per 100 kilometers during my time with this truck. But as I said, if you drive mostly on highways, you can actually get slightly better fuel economy than what it's rated for. I've noticed on a couple of trips where I've driven mostly on highways, I've been averaging around 9.6, 9.7 liters per 100 kilometers. The 2024 Ridgeline Trailsport does not receive the 10-speed automatic of the new Pilot. Instead, it still has the 9-speed automatic. This is a pretty good performing transmission with smooth shifts. There is a slight delay if you stomp your foot on the throttle pedal, but the transmission reacts in an appropriate amount of time for this type of vehicle, and it sticks with the gear that it selects. The brakes are average for a truck of this size and weight. They provide good stopping power and are easy to modulate in everyday traffic. However, the softish suspension allows for quite a bit of nosedive under emergency situations. The Honda Ridgeline is quite different from other mid-sized trucks. Instead of a body-on-frame chassis, it has a unibody construction, much like an SUV. This does limit off-road capability along with towing and payload, but it does provide the Ridgeline with better on-road manners. Four-wheel independent suspension and a sharp steering response make it stable and easy to drive for anyone on any road. Much like the Passport and Pilot, the Ridgeline benefits from the iVTM4 all-wheel drive system, which has clutch packs in the rear differential that allows for real torque vectoring. To drive, the Ridgeline feels more like an SUV rather than a pickup truck. This Ridgeline Trailsport is rated to tow up to 5,000 pounds and carry up to just under 1,500 pounds of payload. Due to the unibody construction and independent rear suspension, the bed is shallow compared to other mid-sized trucks. The bed is just over 5.3 feet in length and 5 feet at the widest point. In between the wheel wells, it is 4.1 feet in width. There are bolt-on tie-down points at each corner, and the party piece of this bed is that it has a trunk within it. The in-bed trunk has 207 liters of cargo space, it is waterproof, and it houses the spare tire and jack. The tailgate is not damped, but it can be opened like a traditional tailgate or from the side for easier access into the bed. One of the main reasons why you'd want to consider the Honda Ridgeline is due to its ride quality. Thanks to the SUV underpinnings, it is a very comfortable truck to use on a day-to-day basis. It drives smoothly over bumps, and it doesn't have any of the jitterness of pickup trucks, even when the bed is empty. With its unibody construction, noises that intrude into the cabin are generally the same as those in an SUV. There is some road noise from the all-terrain tires as well as a bit of wind noise when driving on a highway. However, neither of these noises are very obtrusive, and you can still have a long drive without feeling fatigued. Engine noise is well subdued in daily driving situations, with it only becoming more noticeable when it reaches that 3000 RPM mark. Inside the Honda Ridgeline, it is business as usual. It all looks very similar. It has a lot of physical controls, which I approve very much. I do like having physical controls, particularly for the climate. However, you do get a slightly larger infotainment screen. It is now 9 inches instead of 8 inches of the previous model years, and it displays Honda's latest infotainment system, which does allow for wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. You still do get a physical volume knob as well as a physical home and back button, but everything else is controlled through the touchscreen. For the most part, the materials are soft to the touch, from the leather upholstery on the seats to the center and door panel armrest, to the perforated leather on the steering wheel, but it's only at the 9 and 3 position. The rest of the steering wheel has just regular leather. And as I mentioned earlier, you do get contrast orange stitching on this Trailsport trim in addition to the embossing on the seat headrests. However, the lower portions of this cabin are hard, scratchy plastics, but for the most part, you won't be touching those areas anyway. In terms of interior space, it is very spacious up here in the front seats, as is the norm. I have plenty of leg space and plenty of headroom, but keep in mind that this seat is in its lowest position. It's just how I like to sit in all of these cars. But even with the seat at its lowest points, I still have good visibility out the front, out the side, and even out the back. So that's about it. A very familiar place up here in this Honda Ridgeline. Now let's go sit in the back seats. Back here, it's definitely not as spacious as the front seats. As you can see, my knees are digging into the back of the front seat behind my tall driving position. Now, if it was somebody that was more average in height sitting in the driver's seat, then I would have a little bit more legroom. But thankfully, at least the back of the front seats is made out of soft leather instead of hard plastic. Space for my feet is more than enough, even with the seat at its lowest point, and although I am sitting much higher up than I am in the front seats, I still have just enough headroom for my hair. It's not brushing up against the headliner. These back seats are pretty versatile as well. You can lift them up 60-40 to have more cargo space, or to just make it easier to load stuff underneath them if you want to. The outermost seats are heated on this Trailsport trim, and you do get a separate climate zone. And that's about it for the interior of the Honda Ridgeline. If you want to buy the Honda Ridgeline Trailsport, you'll be paying approximately $54,000 Canadian. That is before any sort of fees, taxes, or incentives. But the Honda Ridgeline starts at about $50,000, and a fully loaded black edition will set you back about $57,000 Canadian. The standard Honda Ridgeline already comes well equipped with quite a few convenience features, such as heated front seats, 3-zone automatic climate control, heated steering wheel, power driver and passenger front seats, the 9-inch touchscreen with wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto that I mentioned earlier, a backup camera with multiple views, a power sunroof, a power rear window, LED projector headlights, keyless entry, and push-button start. In addition to the few off-road features, this Trailsport trim also adds front and rear parking sensors, leather upholstery, heated rear seats, and a driver's memory position. Moving up to the black edition adds ventilated front seats, built-in navigation system, premium 8-speaker audio system, and a power outlet in the bed. So as I said earlier in the video, the Honda Ridgeline is not a traditional pickup truck with a body-on-frame chassis. But because of that, it is much more comfortable to live with on a day-to-day basis. And although it doesn't have the 7,000 plus towing capacity or 2,300 pound payload capacity of some other trucks, some people just don't need that. They just need something comfortable to live with on a day-to-day basis and have a bed that is big enough to carry a few things here and there from time to time. So I think that the Honda Ridgeline does accomplish that. In the meantime, if you would like to know more about this 2024 Honda Ridgeline Trailsport, I have a written review with a few more details about it over on my website. You can find that link in the video description or click on the pop-up banner right up there. And as always, I will see you in the next car or truck, or most likely it'll be an SUV next time, a proper SUV next time. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and see you in the next one.